One.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Taekcast or Peter Overzet's YouTube channel, depending on how you are consuming this content. I'm Davis Mattek, joined by my guy, Peter Overzet. I am moving this week. My office, you can't tell because I have this backdrop. It's completely empty. I'm stripped to the bare bones. Everything is out of here. Shit is strewn everywhere across my apartment. Or actually my house, and I figured nothing would be better than an impromptu discussion with my good buddy Pete. How you doing, buddy?
Good. Yeah, that kind of feeling of moving and tearing down and having to get a new setup, it like gives me anxiety because you get so used to like your work zone and you
Yep.
have your monitors, you have your space, and then thinking of like whenever I'm like, oh, I need to get something done, just like even on my laptop, even that I'm like, I can't do it. I need my monitors, I need my space.
Yeah, so I took off work probably more than I even needed to do. So I'm working Tuesday, and then I took off for the rest of the week because I was like, I'm not even going to be ready to start working on Friday. Like if I have to go set all my stuff up and put my lights up and put my monitors up and put my camera up, like I'm just not going to be ready. Like I'm going to be it's just going to be this whole new space, and I'm like it is so much anxiety.
I forgot, did you say at your new place, are you going to have an office setup?
It'll be so like right now, my office is like also our guest room. Like there's like a bed and a desk and a closet and stuff over there too. And it's just going to be in the basement. Like basically the rec room in the basement is just going to be my office.
Nice. That'll be nice. And then what you have the backdrop there? Is that on something or is that hanging on a wall?
It's hanging on like it's like metal posts basically. Like it's like a big frame. So no one watching these shows will ever be able to tell that there's anything different, but also my ceiling up here is really low, and my ceiling at the new place is like it's like 10 feet or whatever. So I'm probably gonna have to get a new background and frame, which I have not planned for yet.
You either that or you need to pray that Dak Prescott returns to glory. You know, like if he were to get injured again, you can't have 2 straight seasons of dusty Dak Prescott behind you.
Yeah, that's true. I also really want to get a sit stand desk, which you have, right?
Yeah. I love it. You need to get one.
Yeah, and also I think I want to splurge on like a really nice office chair. I have like come to this realization that like this is the same office chair I was using in college. Like this office
Really?
chair has remained, and it's comfortable, it's fine. I don't know, I don't remember how much I paid for it originally, but like clearly if I'm working from home and investing in like having nice shit in my office, one of the things I need to invest in is a nice office chair.
Yeah, I mean, I think of it as like in the same reason you invest in a nice bed or a mattress. It's because you spend so much time on it relative to your lifespan. It's the same thing. We're now spending 8, 10, 12 hours a day at our desk and our computer. So I'm like, I had no problem investing in a nice chair and a nice desk because I spend most of my time there.
Yeah, and I mean, also this desk I have is very nice, but it's like an old man desk. Like it's big and wooden and long and
Yeah.
stuff. And so it's just like it's like you'd see in like your grandpa's study. Like it's not a good 21st century work desk.
Yeah. No, the standing desk is nice. Like right now, I mean, I'm like 50-50 on shows if I'm standing or sitting, but it's just like nice to have that option at all times.
So elephant in the room, you are no longer gainfully employed. How does it feel?
Well, not the elephant in the room, right? Because Dave was able to break that news on the Swole Cat.
Right, of course, right. He broke it. Yeah. good for Dave.
Man, I've been like I was even texting you this morning when we were talking about stuff, and I think I didn't realize some of the kind of like subconscious effects it had. I mean, for most of, ever since I've been making content, I've always had this day job, the same day job. And it just gave you, I don't know, it was like a laissez-faire attitude about everything. It felt like all the content was always like house money,
Yep.
anything is just a bonus. It's just all on the side. It's a hobby. And now it takes on an entire different meaning. And so I'm now starting to try to figure out, how do I make sure I ensure that this stuff is still fun, that it still has the hobby qualities, while realizing like now this is what I rely on for making a living.
I mean, yeah, that's like the whole battle of modern American life right now is like, one, trying to not turn everything you do into capitalism, like just having things that you enjoy.
Yeah.
And so I feel like you are in that spot because you love doing fantasy football comedy, and it's like slogging through that is not fun for anyone. Like, you don't want to slog through it, you want to enjoy it, and then also the people consuming it definitely don't want to feel like they're slogging through, you making like TikToks.
Yeah. And there's just like lots of stuff where, you put in the work for, let's just say, the content, but a lot of
Mhm.
the, say you say like the capitalism or the monetization of stuff, that stuff all happens like on the back end, like maximizing the stuff you're doing. And before, I
Yes.
just never maximized it because I was like, whatever, I'm having fun, I'm putting it out there. But now it's like, no, I do need to go in the YouTube settings and get the tags right. No, I need to like get an email distribution list set up. Like, there's all these things now that I know to maximize what I'm doing, and it's not fun, but it's like a necessity if I want to do this stuff full time.
Yeah, that was definitely something I wanted to ask you about. Like, are you like really grinding the YouTube edges right now? Like the algorithm stuff and the searching and the tags and everything?
I am. Yeah, I'm using this kind of extension app called TubeBuddy, which is really good for, like, it tells you what your topic or your keyword is, and then it tells you, how to kind of write your titles, which tags to get in. It shows you like what stuff is trending. Like, if you do, like, say you type in Top Shot, that's not going to register well on my channel. But if I look for like Top Shot marketing, because everyone cares about what marketing is Top Shot doing, oh, now that's more specific, so maybe I go that route. So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
pulling those levers more. But the other thing is, I think YouTube is so confused, their algorithm, by my channel, because I'm so all over the
Yeah,
place.
pretty spastic.
They just don't know what to do with it and who to put it in front of. So I think I definitely get hurt in that regard.
Well, I know that a lot of much bigger content creators, they will do like a second channel. Like, they will
Yeah.
have their primary channel that is very specifically keyworded and search word engineered for one hyper specific thing, and then if they have something else that they enjoy, they do a second channel. Like, most of the guys I watch on YouTube are like FIFA YouTubers,
Yeah.
and so like their main channel will be like whatever brand new thing is in the game that day or that week, and then their second channel will be whatever it else is that they're doing, sometimes even with inside the game, but just that is not as SEO friendly, which is, I mean, I far be it from me to give you advice or tell you how to do your job, but I wonder what you think about that dilemma, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I thought about that a lot. Like, I'm sure if, like, when we started Club Top Shot, if I had spun that off into a Top Shot channel, that it
Right.
would, I don't think I would have necessarily more subscribers than I do right now, but I bet the videos would consistently get more views just because people would know it's about that specific topic. I don't know if it's a lie or if it's wrong, but what I've kind of told myself is I'm more hoping it's almost like treating it like an Instagram, right? Where it's like people are just
Yeah.
coming along for your ride, and you might be doing this, you might be doing that. My hope is that people who watch this channel become interested in the things I'm doing because I'm really interested in it. And so they're more signing up for like, oh, what's Pete into? What is he passionate about? What does he want to make jokes about? Other than like, I'm coming to Peter for Top Shot content, because even Peter doesn't want to come to just Peter for Top Shot content, because I would get very bored with that.
Well, that's like the difference between being a content creator versus being an influencer. Like, and I know that it's very lame to say like influencer, but like I sort of feel like that's the right word for it. So like, my big guy that I'm super into right now is this professional skateboarder named Neen Williams, but he's also super big into like working out and like is like super ripped and is also professional, and like he has, what he does is he does like, he's got like always, obviously all of his skateboarding merch, but he like sells workout plans, and like he's got his own line of like seasonings and shit, like to like healthily season your food and all that stuff, and like
Yeah.
he makes like, he's got to be amongst one of the, I don't know, 10 or 15 best paid skateboarders in the world, just because he has so many different avenues, and people who aren't even into skateboarding or into his stuff, they're just into Neen because he's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I am definitely not that cool, but that's a nice roadmap. It's stuff that definitely shooting for, because like at the end of the day, people are like, I'm sure when I put up a chess video on my channel, the Google algorithm is like, what the hell?
What are you doing, dude?
What are you doing? But for me, like that was fun. Like I've enjoyed getting to know Liam, and people in the Discord have been enjoying getting to talk chess strategy. I'm like, that's the only way this will not ultimately feel like a job for me, is if I continue to do stuff that's new and interesting to me. And sometimes that might mean abandoning something I did for a long time. Sometimes it might mean becoming an NFT thought leader for 4 months. But like ultimately, I have to do whatever's interesting to me, or I'll just burn out.
Well, you're gonna hate this comparison, and
Uh,
this is just because I don't know that much about YouTube. But the guys who I am aware of who just do whatever they find interesting and post it on their YouTube channel are the Paul brothers. Like they don't have like a specific thing. I mean, maybe they do, and I'm just not aware of it. But like you just hear about them doing all kinds of different stuff, or whenever one of them is like committed an atrocity and then had to apologize to like an entire country for doing so. But like that is a method of YouTubing that does work for some people.
Yeah, it does. And I think I need to start mixing up like the type of stuff. Like right now, my channel is just all live streams, and
Yeah.
occasionally I'll upload a specific video. But like using the Paul brothers, like they're shooting vlogs, they're uploading, regular videos and stuff. And I think that you guys were asking me on the Swolecast, are you going to become like a fantasy football tout? And that's now like the thing I have to wrestle with. Do I want to put up, like, I don't think I'm ever going to do like my top 5 favorite picks in best ball right now, but I might do like my top 5 like strategies or hacks in large field best ball tournaments, like stuff that's actually still interesting to me. And I just need to take the time to put in the work to make those videos that have like more of an evergreen, longer tail shelf life, because people might enjoy watching my best ball stream on a Monday morning, but they're probably not going back and watching it later. Whereas if I have a best ball tips video, like that can get viewers throughout the summer.
Well, and I also find, I guess, with like my own content consumption habits, I will watch people's live streams who I'm into, right? So whether it be, Polk streaming against Negreanu, or, a video game thing or whatever, I will totally engage with that if I'm around, if I'm not doing anything. But then would I go and seek that out later? Like I would not be as into seeking that out later, which I feel like is not really that big of a barrier for you, because you really like produce stuff anyways. Like, I mean, you're like improv's like kind of your deal, like doing bits as they evolve. But I know you really like produce stuff.
I do. Yeah. The problem is it just takes so much time. Like even I've been trying to do 1 clip a week from the randomizer shows, because there's normally like one pretty funny clip from that. And like even editing that takes me like an hour and a half. And then it's like, okay, that was just for the Twitter version. Do I want to make a version that's now the portrait mode version that can go on YouTube Shorts and can go on TikTok? Do I want, it's like next thing you know, it's like 2.5, 3 hours of just post-production on content you've already made. And so that's my big dilemma now. And I think, I talk to guys like Nick Ercolano and there's guys like Salvetri out there who have gone kind of, you hit the issues of scaling like on your own, and ultimately you need resources. Ultimately you need help. Luckily with some Club Top Shot, we have a media team. They're helping us out with stuff and they're great. And so I just, if you're watching this and you like my stuff and you want to get into video editing and you want to help me out, that is by far my biggest bottleneck right now.
So what are you using to edit right now? Like, do you have the Adobe Creative Suite, or are you just like grinding on like whatever available software there is?
No, I have Final Cut Pro. When I first started, like way back when I was editing like the Broathlon, when I was only doing man's videos, it was in iMovie, just the default Mac program. And then I upgraded to Final Cut, which has more bells and whistles. And I'm not super intellectually curious about editing. I mean, I'll Google things if I know there's a specific type of feature or edit I want to do. But for the most part, it's just like the ends justify the means. Like I just want to ship these things. So that's tough. But I did actually just get, because I had to turn in my work laptop, obviously, and I got a I got a new Mac laptop with Final Cut on it, which my work laptop was a PC and I would never edit on it. So I'm kind of excited now, like when I'm traveling around, the fact that I can't use that as an excuse now. Like if I go on a 4-hour flight, to Vegas this summer, like I can edit a video or two on there. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I was going to tout to you that a very useful skill to learn would be learning Adobe After Effects, which is like, I mean, it's the most insane complex video editing software there is, which I used when I was, a high schooler doing skateboarding videos. I would never do anything. I learned some cool stuff. I mean, obviously nothing to like, edit Avengers or whatever, but it's like, it's just an insanely useful skill to have. And I feel like those sort of visual effects would definitely be something like when I was watching a YouTube video, that'd be like, I really appreciated, X, Y, or Z, especially in something produced where like, if you're filming a skit or if you're doing like a 15-minute, like, these are my 5 favorite sleepers. I know, or whatever fantasy football bit it might be. Like it's a worthwhile skill to have, I think.
It's funny when you say that, because the phrase I always think of is that kind of video editing. And it's same when you go and see a stand-up comic or something, you just want to know that you're in good hands. And sometimes when you're spending all that time on those effects and stuff, you might be like, is this really important? But it's more just signaling to the viewer, the person in the audience, like, no, I have put time into this. You are going to get a good experience. It's well done. And yeah, I think all those little things add up. And the viewer, it's like, take some of the poker vlogs too, like Andrew Nemi. Like I always knew when I watched his vlog, I was in good hands because of how good his video editing was. Or if you go and watch someone who just started and you're like, this might just be bad because they're at the start of their video editing process.
Yeah, it's like accumulation of, the thumbnail, the graphic quality, the video quality, audio quality, like all that stuff. And so, I mean, even some of the things that you could learn in After Effects, like are, well, and also I guess one of the big pros is like once you learn to do something in it once, like you can just do it forever. You don't have to relearn it. You can use the same framework and it looks really cool. Like one of the things I learned how to do was someone like moving through the text, and like basically the text was like inlaid in the video. So it looks like there's, a name and someone is riding their skateboard through it and it disappears behind them. And like, when I first learned that, like I was sitting at my computer, in my parents' house for like 8 hours. And I was like, fuck. And then by the end, I got to be able to do it in like 15 minutes because it was just keying the things around. And yeah, so that is one thing with video editing that is nice. Like once you learn how to do it, it's like riding a bike.
Yeah, it is. And that's what I still wrestle with. In one of the other problems, like I've been fortunate to work with some video editors and stuff on projects. And what I find happen is, you have your vision of how you want to do it. Like with a lot of my stuff, there's comedic timing. I want like the visual gag to line up. So I'm writing out this, Word document with all of my cues to the editor. By the time I'm done writing that out and uploading all the images I want, I'm like, I should have just edited this myself.
Yeah, I mean that and this is all just like the hidden cost of like the economy of YouTube, and it's why there are people you've never heard of and who you'll never meet who make their living editing YouTube videos, making thumbnail, and like a very good YouTube editor or like an extremely competent and quick thumbnail like graphic artist. Like these dudes can make so much money because the demand for it is massive.
Yeah, I've luckily have like come to somewhat enjoy and streamline my thumbnail process. Like it doesn't feel like a chore. I have kind of like my library of images. I have my online editor. Like I kind of have that down. But yeah, there's something about video editing where I'm like, I have to block off at minimum an hour just to get this clip right. And it's a significant chore, but I still think video clips on Twitter are one of the best kind of marketing tools out there. I mean, just people being able to watch those without having to leave the app. I think it's still kind of untapped as far as people making content.
Yeah, well, it's all about making it as easy as possible for people to engage with your stuff, right? To not have to leave the Twitter app, to not have to, subscribe to a new thing, click into a new thing. Because, look, we've all been there. Like, I'm not clicking again.
Yeah.
Like, or I'm not entering my email into this or whatever. Like we've literally all been there.
Well, and my thought too is like, So I think some of the shows I do, like even take the randomizer draft, like I think that's a very entertaining product. I think a lot of just general fantasy fans, no matter how hardcore or not, would really enjoy that kind of show. And so I feel like I put a lot of time into those clips for that specific show because I think it's a good marketing thing. Like, look at the batshit crazy, insane stuff that'll happen on this. Hopefully you will be intrigued to check it out more. So I try to think specifically too, like, is this something that would entice people to subscribe or, know, hey, Thursday nights is when Pete does the randomizer.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the randomizer is pretty great. I mean, are you feeling excited? Like, is any sort of like, regret, fear, like how, like, what is your mind? I mean, what was your mindset like heading into this? Are you like talking about this with Lauren? Like, what was the final impetus to just be like, do you have a big work project coming up that you were like, fuck this, I'm out, I'm not doing this?
No, it was kind of just knowing, like, I have a lot of stuff coming up in August. I mean, August is just going to be crazy. I think we're going to do a Club Top Shot trip to Vegas in mid-August. And then, as you know, Ship Chasing, we're going to be doing a ton of drafts, maybe going out to Vegas for FFPC. And then that's when I'm going to start ramping up writing the newsletter this year. Again, for Matthew Berry, I'll probably be going 5-6 times a week in August. And so I was just like, holy cow, like something's going to have to give here. And I just want to be able to devote all my attention to doing this stuff. So that was kind of the direct impetus of just knowing, like, hey, I pushed this decision for a long time. I mean, now is the time. But yeah, it's still a little nerve wracking. And deep down, I know everything's going to work out. I think I have enough opportunities in the pipeline. I think the way things are growing and stuff it has me set up well, but it doesn't change the fact that, like, I had that safety net forever where I just never had to worry about it. And so just turning that switch is still like a nerve wracking switch.
How did you feel that, like, pretty much the week you made the announcement, everything in crypto dropped like 40%?
Dude, well, I was actually talking to Lauren about that because I did feel like I'd been like in a little bit more of, I don't want to say it, like, I don't want to be dramatic. I guess I'll say like emotional funk. And I think it was just because of so many contributing factors. Even this weekend, it's been just raining here the whole weekend. It's like the crypto markets are down, like everything starts to pile up. And it can get to you. And I think I've never really struggled with depression. I'm normally in pretty good spirits, but like, it was kind of humbling to know even I am susceptible to some of these mood swings, and I have to like check in on my mental health. And I think it was a wake up call that now that I don't have that kind of safety blanket of employment, that I need to check in on it even more because I'm going to be more susceptible to swings.
That's I mean, it's funny you say that because like I very much felt the same way. Like, crypto goes down, I'm arguing with this mortgage lender every single day about getting paperwork done for my house. One of my dogs got sick, and I'm just like, bro, I just want to hang out on my couch and play some video games and like not just be, and part of that is just like adult life in general is like, once you remove the safeguard of having someone looking out for your well-being, like, modern life is just very difficult. And again, these are speaking for myself, these are the complaints of someone who's very privileged and has a lot of things going for them. And it's difficult a lot of the times to keep that perspective. But like, I'm checking my ledger live and I'm just like, fuck, I am losing money hand over fist. I got to pay all this money to the bank. I got to pay movers. I got to pay closing fees. And it just like, there was just one day last week where I was just like, this is just too much, man. Like, this is so overwhelming to feel like and taxes were due last week too. So I do my taxes, I'm paying my house off, and crypto goes down 50%. And I'm just like, just throw me in debtor's prison, dude.
Yeah. And then especially too, it's all coinciding with what is theoretically supposed to be a very exciting time. Like, vaccination rates are at all-time highs. We're entering summer. We're theoretically able to go and hang out with all of our friends, do these trips and stuff again. And I keep waiting for that like summer excitement feel to set in. And I feel like I'm just so bogged down by all this other responsibility.
Yeah. I mean, which I guess is, again, one of the hallmarks of modern American living, which is really wanting to go do fun stuff and then having to weigh that of like, oh, well, and you'll feel this now too, as a freelancer, you'll always feel like there's some work you could or should be doing. And I've gotten a lot better about that. Like I just try and like not tweet on the weekends, play a little bit less DFS on the weekends, not be in the projection spreadsheets on the weekends and stuff, but just knowing it's always there. Like there's always something I could be doing.
Yeah, no, that I was just gonna say the same thing too, because like with my previous job, it was like I knew my tasks, I knew my assignments, and I got them done, and then it was done, And with this stuff, it's like I literally this morning, just to like switch it up, I like wrote out my whole to-do list on pen and paper as opposed to kind of the app I normally use, just as a way to like reorganize myself. And like the list, I have like these levels for like every show, everything. And it's like, okay, these are the things I just need to do before like the next show or whatever. And then there's like, this is the stuff I should be doing for it long term. Like this is a bigger project of something that would help. Oh, I should make an intro clip for this show, like all these things. And all of a sudden your to-do list goes from like, oh, I could knock that out on a Monday afternoon on Memorial Day to like, this is like 2 weeks of nonstop work. It becomes very overwhelming of that stuff of like, this is what I have to do, but this is the stuff I should be doing. And that is overwhelming.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like good advice for everyone in general to just have something that's for you that you're not monetizing, that is like your good mental health time. And for me right now, it's been skateboarding. Like I will go, I'll put my phone down, like literally not looking at my phone for like hours. Like
yeah,
probably for the longest time in my life of not looking at my phone. For a lot of people, it's going to the gym. Although at the gym, there's definitely the temptation of like, being on the treadmill and looking at your phone or whatever. But like, I don't know. I just feel like if I was dealing with all of these stressors right now and hadn't found something to go do where I was not tethered to my phone, I'd be like in a way worse spot.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. What did I just lost my train of thought? Oh, like the other thing, the kind of the uncertainty and the uneasiness that I'm feeling though, it was part of what I was trying to welcome as well, because there's this thing in comedy, like they'll say to stand-up comedy or stand-up comedians or aspiring ones, like you'll never make it if you have that safety net. It's like the idea of like, I can't fail and I have to work so hard. And I always kind of rejected against that, because I'm like, you can succeed and be talented even with a safety net. But on the other hand, I do know that that's going to motivate me even more. And I kind of wanted to see like, I feel like I've done some cool stuff, but like what happens when my feet are really to the fire and I have no choice but to succeed, pursue every opportunity possible, try to do things to the best of my ability. And so that's kind of how I'm spinning it, at least. And it's exciting. I want to see what I can do now that I have no choice.
Well, that's like that's like a big theory amongst, like just business people in general. Yeah. It's like, necessity is the motherhood of invention. Iron sharpens iron. All that stuff is that like, you're going to do your best work and your most impactful work when you don't have a choice. Like when being lazy is not an option. I mean, for me, that does work. Like, when I get closer to deadlines, like I remember like my final thesis paper in college, I wrote like 18 pages of it like the night before it was due. And I just stayed up all night, just, crushing Red Bulls or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would have ever gotten it done in a different way.
Yeah, I think, there's the sliding scale of there's some people that are just so talented that it doesn't matter. Like they're just going to succeed. And I'm not like, I think I have a good skill set for stuff, but I'm still like, I'm equal part work, equal part talent. Like I will not succeed unless I'm busting my ass. And so, yeah, I now feel like I need to bust my ass even more.
That's true. How far have you gotten an exit scam?
Yeah, I'm caught up on it. It's awesome.
Did you listen to, are you on Odyssey and listening to them this morning?
No, I'm not listening to the in advance. I'm just in the public version when they drop.
Okay. So I have listened up until like the most recent one on Odyssey right now. And so for people who don't know, Exit Scam, previous guest of the Taekcast, Aaron Lammer, host of Coin Talk Show. I mean, he's like one of the most incredible people. I could go on and on about Aaron Lammer. Guy's amazing, but he is doing this podcast about Gerald Cotton, who was the owner of Canada's largest Bitcoin exchange and either died or faked his own death in December of 2018. And 200 and what, I guess then it was like $220 million worth of Bitcoin. It would be worth much more now. And it's an exploration of did he actually die or not? Where are you at on this?
Yeah, so I'm in the part where it's basically just kind of revealed that he basically has been a scam artist his entire life. And like at every step of the way, he's been kind of looking for these specific hustles. I believe it was, what was one of the ones was crazy where he got like emailed like a list of people. I think it was like a storage unit email list. And his brain immediately went to what's a good scam or how could I exploit this list for money? And that was one of those moments where you're like, oh, wow. I mean, that's how this guy views the world.
Yeah, he was like on like dark net, like forums and stuff where it was all about, like stealing people's credit card information and like finding ways to just, monetize everything. And like, I remember being sort of interested when the story originally happened, but just like it was back in, 2017, 2018, when everything in crypto was like, you just couldn't, to paraphrase CSU Ram, you just can't keep up with everything in crypto, but the story is beyond fascinating. And I am team, now it's not done yet. There are still 2 more episodes yet to come out. I'm 100% team he faked his death.
Yeah. And so we won't spoil it all, but he basically was on a honeymoon in India, which coincidentally is one of the main places people generally go if they want to fake a death. So there's a lot of alarm bells there. I think the bigger thing that's kind of interesting about it is one of the kind of cliche talking points against crypto is everybody's scammers, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, crypto is just the perfect place to attract opportunists and scammers, but we see that play out in all kinds of industries. In sports betting, how many Vegas Daves are there out there? It's like where there's money to be made, it's going to attract both talented people and smart people, and it's going to also attract scammers. And I don't think crypto is any different, except there's maybe even more opportunity for scammers just in the way crypto is structured.
Well, what is even more hilarious is, the old thing the boomer talking point about crypto is, oh, well, it's only good for, doing crimes, but like, it's like the worst medium in which to commit crimes. Like you would use cash. If you wanted to commit a crime in 2021, you would use cash. If you use anything else, you're going to be caught. And like so in one of these episodes, they talk about this Monitor report that came out, which is basically the Canadian government's, they looked at Quadriga was the name of the Bitcoin exchange. Yeah. And they were like, okay, who were their customers? Where was the money going to? Where was the money going from? And basically like they figured out it was just this big, house of cards. And they were, relaying Bitcoin addresses to people's physical addresses and to their, government IDs and everything. Like, if I wanted to commit a crime or ask for a ransom or something, I literally think Bitcoin would be the last thing. Like I can't imagine. Maybe like I guess credit card transactions would be worse.
Yeah. No, that's one of the, at least a lot of the boomers have moved on to other talking points, trying to say that it's just the money that scammers and criminals use is just probably one of the worst arguments you could make against crypto at this point.
Yeah. I mean, in general, how are you feeling about the crypto world these days? I guess you, in general, are just like not as into it, like as a culture thing as I have been through and I'm not even like that into it as a culture compared to like Nate Noling, who like runs his own fucking Monero node or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. I learned a lot in 2017 and back when I was buying all the shit coins. And we've talked about this stuff on the show today. I just think I think I have a realistic kind of viewpoint on like what I am and what my relationship is with crypto, which is like a long-term believer. And it's the only way I can interact with it without it stressing me out. Is just, I'm going to buy stuff that I believe in long-term and I'm not going to stress it. And even if I'm like, quote unquote, aping into something, it's still not with the intention to flip. Like I might FOMO into something, but I'm still planning to hold it for a very long time. And that just kind of takes the emotions out of it. And I also think I have done a good job of like, I have not lost sleep even through the crypto crash because I've not put in so much that I would be uncomfortable for it. And we're going back to that mental health thing. Like now that I follow a lot more Ethereum and NFT bros, like I mean, I know they're shit posting through it. Some of it's jokes, but you can tell like some of these guys are
tough,
in a
man.
rough spot. And I'm like, I enjoy this stuff and I don't mind speculating on stuff, but I'm never going to put so much in to where like my mental health is truly at risk. Like I can't do that.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, I would love to say that same thing is true about myself, but it's definitely not. Like if crypto went to zero, I mean, I wouldn't be homeless or anything, but it would be it would be a tough scene. Like I would feel tough. But I think what it was causing the Ethereum bros to be more like viscerally affected was that they were more euphoric on the rise up because they were, oh, the flippening, the NFTs, Web 3.0, the metaverse, like they were seeing their wildest fantasies beginning to play out ahead of them, and then to have that dashed after, like it was just totally Icarus, right? Like they just flew too close to the sun, and they saw all their hopes and dreams coming true, and then they saw it crash down, and that does not feel very fun. And I feel like I do honestly feel like Bitcoin maximalists have a different mental illness, but they are certainly they do not get as despondent during the crashes.
Yeah, I feel like my feed has been so overwhelmed by ETH maxis over BTC maxis that I feel like I don't even really have my finger on the pulse of BTC maxis these days. I assume they're still preaching the same things. But yeah, I think the other thing too is like COVID and a lot of this stuff definitely expedited a lot of this happening, and it probably happened a little sooner than it would have. We probably would have had a more steady build for like DeFi stuff. And now it got so frothy that the pullback was actually healthy because so many speculators came in. And I think the other thing of having tried out some yield farming stuff, I mean, we're still so far away from mainstream adoption of this stuff. We're still so far away from a lot of these products. Like you said, like how far away are we from us being able to use our crypto assets as collateral or even under collateralized loans to get a mortgage for a house? Like we're still a long way from the promise of these things actually being easy for the masses to use and execute in the way that we know they can.
Yeah, which I think is a good point. Like all of the DeFi stuff, it is highly specialized. Anytime you begin to talk to someone about DeFi, like it mostly goes over their head. I mean, I barely know anything about DeFi. Like Andy came on the show and explained a bunch of stuff to me, and I was learning things as he was talking. Like there's a lot going on there, and it is even with, I think, the accelerant that was poured on cryptocurrency in general as a result of the coronavirus. And I've heard that sentiment, said by people who are way more intelligent than me by many different sources, is like, it was a big gain, but in general, probably a crash was inevitable because all the stuff was just overbought and people were, too exuberant. And so it's healthy in the long run. Now, I don't know if that's a mental health line, right? That could just be someone telling themselves, this is what we need for the long run. I don't have any opinion on if that's true or not, but it definitely does feel like crypto would just be in a very, very different space without all that stuff, I think.
Yeah. And now we're going to see, I mean, I never want to be one of the people who's tried to predict like what specifically caused a market crash or a market pump, but it doesn't seem completely coincidental that when everything is opening back up, that people are like, yeah, I'm going to take some chips off the table here and, go on a golf trip or take my family on a vacation or, even just go drink at the bar as much as I want. Like that intuitively makes sense to me that people are like taking their casino speculative money off the online ecosystem and going to put it into their physical entertainment.
Yeah, which felt so true before vaccines were like sweeping all over the Western world, but it's still like, it felt true back in January or whatever, that like, oh, eventually people are going to get vaccinated and get back out to the world. But it just because it felt true didn't mean people were making that, reflect in their decision making. And I do feel like also a lot of people, myself included, were like, I certainly was not ready to live in a world in May 2021 where the CDC was like, all right, we're good. No more masks. Like, if you're vaccinated, go live it. And some people are, I did want to talk about this too. So I obviously am a very left-leaning political guy, right? Like this is not a secret to anyone, but I find it bizarre that this group of people was like, all right, look, you got to mask up, masks outside, masks everywhere. And now that, and the whole time, the logic was, well, that's what the CDC says. I was all about it. I wore a mask everywhere I went for over a year. But for me, my mission statement has been, okay, I'm fully vaccinated. I'm past the 14 days or whatever. My thought is anywhere where vulnerable people wouldn't have a choice, right? Grocery store, doctor's office, dentist, whatever. I'm masking up because that's literally, it's just common courtesy. It's like washing your hands after you go to the bathroom or whatever. Like, just don't be a weirdo. But like, I do find the like the sanitation theater on places where fully vaccinated people are gathering to be bizarre. And maybe I don't know, maybe you don't want to talk about anything that politically touchy. But I'm curious your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of ridiculous when like when people, the whole like idea of being offended that someone is wearing a mask, like I now personally feel completely comfortable wherever I go. I traveled, I go to the gym regularly. Mm-hmm. That said, like I'll probably still continue to wear masks on planes. Like I always got sick on planes, like coming back.
1,000,000%. Yes, yeah. I got sick every time I flew.
Yeah. And I'm like, holy cow, are you just telling me if I just am not an idiot and just maybe like wear a mask, I might not get sick on a plane in an enclosed space with all kinds of germs? Oh, that makes a lot of sense. And it's like the same thing to me. Like if you really carry out this thought experiment, like you get offended because someone's like wearing a mask walking down the street for like whatever reason. It's like, or do you get offended when someone covers their mouth when they cough? So like, what? Why are you doing that?
Or wear shoes, or wear shoes inside of a gas station or whatever.
Or wash your hands after going to the bathroom, just all standard precautionary measures. But because it has been so tied and so politicized to the COVID political thing, it's now this like this symbol that again is completely politicized. And it's just like ridiculous. It's like, let people take whatever own health precautionary terms they want.
Yeah. I mean, so along those same lines, I saw that the total number of flu hospitalizations was like way, way down over the last year. Now, obviously the cynic says, well, yeah, dude, because everyone who came in with the flu, they just labeled it as COVID, bro. But like, no, it's like I think the logical conclusion would be, yeah, no shit, people weren't getting the flu. They were wearing masks. They were sanitizing their hands. Like in general, I am positive that a lot of people, I mean, myself included, personal hygiene, like at an all-time high, because you don't want to be carrying gross germs around. And like, it was super nice to not have a flu or a cold in the winter. Like I didn't get sick. I have not been sick once since last March, and it's been amazing.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like, I mean, it has been legitimately nice not to feel sick. And yeah, I would do so many red-eye flights and so many cross-country flights going to California to visit friends and stuff. And I was like 50% hit rate to get sick after every one of those trips. And I'm like, I don't ever want to do that again. I will happily wear a mask on a plane to not get sick.
Yeah, like just thinking back on like, you know, when I would go to Vegas or California or whatever for some of these like DK things, just like thinking like, obviously I was like a poor college kid at the time. So I was taking like the 5 a.m. flight out of Vegas on a Monday morning, like the saddest flight in human history. Like no shit, I would come home and get sick from those. It was like completely miserable. So yeah, I think I will probably continue to wear masks in like big communal spaces like that for a while, I would imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's still, it's unfortunate that the discourse still is like so heated around that. It's just like in the same way we all have our personal liberties to do whatever we want, that also applies to allowing us to wear a mask if we fucking feel like it.
Yeah, how's the reading going? What have you been reading this time again? Because Pete, we started up this bet again because we both took a step back and looked at ourselves and realized that all this progress we were doing was like pretty much immediately undone.
Yeah, I've been reading a few different things now that I'm in kind of full on Kindle mode, bouncing around. I just finished.
It is nice to bounce. That's the coolest thing about the Kindle is it's just pretty effortless to bounce around.
Yeah, I've been like in a kind of sci-fi type kick. So I just finished what is it, Kazu Ishiguro's new novel. He was the guy that did Never Let Me Go. And he has a new book out called Clara in the Sun, which is kind of like this scenario in the future where like children have they call them AFs, autonomous friends, and they're kind of these companions and stuff, and then they're very smart, they're close to almost sentient beings. And so I read that. I was reading the guy who wrote The Martian. He has a new sci-fi novel out where a guy finds himself in space and like wakes up and doesn't know why he's there, and it's his job to kind of save the world. So I've been like reading shit like that. And then also I've been reading a book about how to break up with your phone. That's I think literally the title of it. And I've been trying to internalize some of those lessons.
What are some of the memos from How to Break Up with Your Phone? I think that would probably be a good book for me.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is stuff that is intuitive and everyone thinks has already thought of, or like if we've talked about Atomic Habits before, there's stuff like that, but sometimes just rereading something you already internally know is good. And so a lot of it is just about turning off notifications. And one thing that I like that's more kind of meditative, I guess, is interrogating your feelings when you go to reach for your phone. In the same way of just asking yourself, how do I feel? Why do I feel the urge to go on Twitter right now or go check a message? And then just lingering with that feeling. And like in the same way with meditation, you're just asking yourself, what am I feeling right now and why? And you're not like mad at it. But that kind of idea, I think, has been helpful too, because so many times you realize like, oh, I'm bored right now. Or I'm not willing to be present. Or so I thought that was a good tip from that.
I think that's just great in general, is just like asking yourself why you do things. And a lot of the times you won't have a good answer. Like, why am I doing this self-destructive behavior or whatever? Because I feel like a lot, and also, hashtag Atomic Fits Habits, we just get into these habits of doing these things that are not good for us. And we don't ever stop to examine them much closer.
You have to tailor it to your thing. So like, I mean, I've talked about it with you too. Like I leave my phone at my desk, but then in the mornings, I sometimes want to use the meditation app. I sometimes want to cast a yoga video from YouTube to my screen. So what would happen is I would wake up in the morning without my phone, doing good. I'd read my Kindle, doing good. But now it's time to go get my phone.
Now it's phone time. Now it's phone time.
And now I have some Underdog notifications. Use promo code Pete. And now next thing you know, I'm punting my meditation because I got sucked in. So I have a new hack that I have set up. And because I'm an influencer who receives multiple phones, I have created a burner phone that is specifically only has a few apps on it.
Your mindfulness phone?
Exactly. It has a link to...
That's amazing.
It goes to Yoga with Adrian's YouTube, because that's what I cast to my screen. It has Headspace on it, and it has my clock, my alarm clock. So that's the phone that I can take to the bedroom, because that's all I'm going to do. It has no apps, nothing on it, and I only use it for those 3 utility and tools.
So Yoga with Adrian is amazing. I'll tout her to anyone. She's amazing. But I want to tout something else to you.
Yeah.
It's this app called Down Dog. And it's pretty cheap. I think it's like $60 for a year, maybe. And the usefulness, I mean, one, it's on your phone, so you don't have to have it up on the TV. You can just be looking at your phone or just listen. But there's a bunch of different inputs, like, oh, I want to do this type of yoga. I want to focus on flexibility, core strength. There's like 20 options. And then it just like comes up with a routine. Like it's like an AI generated yoga routine. It's really cool. I probably do yoga like twice a week. I mean, if I'm having a good mental health week, I do it every day, but that's like, maybe once every 2 months I'm having like a gnarly good mental health week. Like it doesn't happen that often.
Yeah. That is the thing. The one thing in the algorithmically generated thing sounds nice. And that's one of the things I like about Yoga with Adrian is she has such a massive library that I can find, and she's good like with her titles and descriptions, and I can find one based on length and what I want. Like sometimes I have like lower back stiffness, and so I just search for that. Like today I had more time, so I did one of her like 45-minute ones. Normally I'm doing like 15 to 20 minutes. And so it is nice to just have this online library, and then you can cater it to your time and how you're feeling that day.
Yeah. What's your workout routine like right now? Like are you doing the boxing? Like what's the game plan?
It was I'm excited because like I hadn't been going to like during COVID, I would go and like do some of the outdoor classes and stuff like that. And I hadn't been going to the kind of technical classes. Like he has one-on-one like mitt training classes. And then he has, it's called a contender class, and it's more like footwork and you're working up close. But I wasn't going to those because you were interfacing with people. So now I've been going to mitt classes once or twice a week, which are just the most insane workout. Like anyone who's ever even just kind of like bounced around in a ring or sparred, like it's the most gassing thing in the world. Like a minute and a half in the ring of active mitt work or sparring is just exhausting. So I've been enjoying adding that in. And then, yeah, the gym I go to, he has like pretty varied programming. Some classes are more just heavy bag boxing workouts. Some is like a mix of body weight workouts and bag stuff. And then he has kind of CrossFit-esque classes that focus more on, you know, high interval intensity training and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm just going 4 or 5 times a week right now, trying to get dialed back in for summer. And yeah, I was talking to Lauren about it too. I mean, it's not just the like physical benefits. Like working out regularly is just huge for my mental health.
Fucking big for your mental health, dude. It's unbelievable.
And it makes me more productive. Like it's days when I'm not doing anything. I'm just like lounging around or whatever. It's like, if I just go bang that out, I'm going to come back and I'm going to want to get more things done. I don't know how that works or why. And then on top of it, I'm more tired at night. I'm more exhausted from my workout. So I go to bed earlier, get better night's sleep. It snowballs into everything I'm doing.
Yeah. I mean, that's like, that is one of the big things for me is like, if I don't get an exercise in during the day, I'm going to sleep like shit. Cause obviously, you know, I'm sitting here staring at blue light all day. I probably have like, you know, 2-3 cups of coffee or whatever. And so like it gets to be 9 o'clock. And I'm like, all right, you know, like I got to get up. I got to, you know, my dogs are ready to go at 6 o'clock in the morning. Like I know I'm going to get up early, but I'm just not tired at all. And it's like, you know, again, and then you're tired the next day. So you're like, shit, I'm tired. I don't want to go work out. So it just ends up being this big perpetuating thing. I want to say, if anyone is still listening at this point in the show, if you want to tout me, like some workout course you use or some app you use, because like right now, basically I'm like hacking together a workout schedule based on like shit I rip off from Instagram. Like, oh, that guy's ripped and this is what he does on arm day, or that guy's ripped and this is what he does for core, and kind of just stitching it together. So if anyone wants to tout me like a good actual workout plan that you like, I'd be big on that.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely feel spoiled in having like a variety of different kind of classes that I can go to the gym, and my trainer is just so good at programming. Like he'll never have a class that's the same. But I do think in general, if you have a few different kind of things you can do, like I've now started mixing in some track workouts because I don't know, I'm kind of a sicko and I feel good after track workouts. So I have like a few of those, go on some long runs. Sometimes I'll just do my own kind of like jump rope, you know, egg weight kind of shadow boxing stuff, and have your kettlebell. Like I feel like, to me, that's where you don't want to work out if you're like, well, I'm just doing the same thing every day and it's so monotonous, that just having in your arsenal a few different types of workouts can help it feel more fresh and exciting.
Yeah, no, that's 100% true. I mean, for the winter, my gym was closed. I was doing this weight loss bet with Dave. Like literally all I was doing was riding a bike, right? Literally riding an exercise bike. And then eventually I got like some kettlebells and stuff. But by the end, I was like dreading going down to the basement to go work out. Like I was like, I know I got to do this because I got to try and beat Dave at this dumb bet. But man, I just like, I hated it by the end. And I mean, that's not fun. Like right now, I mean, I've gone back to the gym like probably like 5 times or whatever since I got my second shot, and like every time I'm like, shit, yeah, like I'm hyped, like let's go do this. And I know that's gonna wear off eventually, because eventually it'll just become very routine, and so I'm planning for that eventual boredom.
Yeah, one thing that motivates me with working out too is just, I know if I take a lot of time off or I'm not pushing myself, like the workouts are just going to get progressively harder. And I love that your body is like this internal benchmark for you. Like I know when I mix in some track runs or some runs, like my cardio is so much better at my next boxing workout. And I'm like, every workout is as hard as you want it to be, but to feel like you can get through a whole workout without dying because you put in some of the work, the cross training or whatever to make that possible is like, that's a nice feeling and kind of motivates me of like, put in the work now and that'll make the work next time not quite as hard and miserable.
Yeah. All right, let's talk a little football and then we can get out here. How many championship drafts have you done so far?
I think I'm up to like 25 completed. And I'm in like 4 or 5. I've been doing basically 4 or 5 slow drafts at once. And then on Monday mornings, I've been doing a stream drafting one. So averaging, I would say about 5 or 6 a week right now.
Yeah, I try to do one every day. Now I'm also not just playing on Underdog. I'm playing on all the platforms. I mean, I don't mean to tout a competitor, but the DK drafts right now are, I mean,
I've seen
soft. They're so soft. Yeah.
Is it, you still have to do it on mobile? They don't have the desktop version?
I haven't even, let's look. I'm in one right now. Let's see if app only. You still have to do it just on your phone.
Which is like, for me, even if I say I wanted to stream a DraftKings draft, like I can't even, you're telling people that people can't stream a DraftKings draft. That's kind of crazy.
It is kind of crazy. But those, I mean, they I guess Underdog feels about as quick. But like, cause what I like to do is I like to hop in one as I'm driving to the gym and then I get on the Stairmaster until the draft is done. Like that's like, I go there to go get set up and like, that's a good routine for me. But what I've found is like the biggest difference this year is these running back builds have gotten completely out of control. Like you're going into these Underdog drafts and literally 8 of the people you're drafting against are copying Justin Herzig's team from last year. And like, it's just clearly not GTO anymore. Like it was GTO for like a week and it's just completely done. Now you can't do it.
Yeah, it's weird. I have like this weird thing too, where a lot of the drafts I do are with people who are sharp. I feel like if I'm drafting on stream and people hop in with me, but I feel like I've noticed it either way. I think both things are true. I think the people are going the hyper fragile, getting their running backs, 3 of them, in the first 3 to 4 rounds. But on the other hand, like wide receiver dries up so quickly.
Fast. Yeah.
And I've been doing lots of kind of 0 RB type builds, but what's happening is because then I am drafting running backs, like say rounds 8 through 12 in that range, I'm like now not getting a lot of the last tier of good wide receivers. Like I'm not getting the Viscas, I'm even missing out on Rondell Moores, the Michael Pittman Jr.'s, because all those guys have now swung back into hammering wide receiver in that range. And when I go to my draft app based on my rankings in that chunk though, all of the running backs are the best available players because of just the nature of the draft structure. So in a way, I think as long as I can keep mixing in some of those breakout second-year rookie wide receivers I want, it is setting up really nicely to zig and zag out of that kind of now default Herzig hyper-fragile strategy.
Yeah, I mean, what I am worried about is that I'm going to get done with draft season and I'm not going to have as much exposure as I want to the 0 running back guys I really want. So like, I'm still on Darrell Williams. I think Phillip Lindsay is a pretty good one. Yeah. I really like Jamal Williams. I really like Darrell Henderson. No, these names are not important and there'll be more content on that stuff and it's all coming up. But I'm worried about being overweight on shitty players I don't like just because it fits the framework of what is considered GTO right now. Like Chris Carson and J.K. Dobbins and Josh Jacobs and David Montgomery, like these guys I would never take in the main event, right? Like we get ready to go draft our main event team. And I'm like laughing at someone who suggests taking David Montgomery or Josh Jacobs, but I'm taking them in these best balls because the data we have available right now suggests that those points are less replaceable. And I don't want to be sitting there looking at my Underdog app week 2 and see that I have 35% exposure to Josh Jacobs.
Yeah. I haven't been drafting those guys hardly at all, just because even if I draft, like I have done I did a decent amount of drafts where I grabbed 2 running backs early, but I just kind of refuse to draft running backs rounds 3 through 5. I mean,
you're just not aping into David Montgomery.
No, I refuse. I mean, every time it's like the wide receivers
Every
are
time. Yeah,
the best,
it never works.
best play in that range. It's like I'm really gonna pass over like Mike Evans and DJ Moore and even Adam Thielen, like those guys. I'm like, no, I'm taking those guys every time, because what have we learned year after year? The running backs in that range aren't that much different than the running backs after round 5 or 6. Like they're almost indistinguishable within the data sets overall for what they produce. So it's just like, don't be overconfident that Chris Carson is going to get so much more work than Ronald Jones, but that's what the ADP suggests.
Yeah. And it'll just play out that way again. David Montgomery is going to get squeezed by Damian Williams and Tariq Cohen, and people are going to be mad at him again. And it's just it's the way of life. There's nothing you can do about it. Who are some of like the 18th round wide receiver darts you are taking early? I have a couple. Like I need to start slowing down on this, because I've been taking the same guys, and like literally the last thing you want is like, oh shit, here's the season. 43% of my teams are taking Byron Pringle zeros every week.
Yeah, no, that's definitely an issue. I've been drafting like, I mean, I love all the second year breakout type guys. I have a lot of KJ Hamler. I've just like the classic. I prefer him in best ball, but he's free. I've been mixing in a little. I like the Colts a lot as cheap stack, and like Zach Pascal is free, and I think he's going to be in their 3 wide receiver sets this season. I'm trying to think of some other late round guys that I end up with a bunch of. How about you?
Well, the Chiefs guys, right? Powell, Robinson, Pringle, kind of as a hedge to like, well, maybe McCole Hardman really is just a gimmick player, like FF Comedy Hour _ McCole. And if like seriously, if McCole Hardman can't earn 80 targets this year, one of Robinson, Pringle, or Powell is just going to have to be good for fantasy, or the Chiefs will suck. Like those are really your options. Josh Reynolds and Dez Fitzpatrick. The Brian Tannehill just, I think, is good, and someone is going to have to soak up those Corey Davis, Adam Humphries targets. I don't know who it's going to be. I saw Ian Hart's tweet about some dude named Marcus Johnson the other day, who I think is the old Colts wide receiver. Okay. So maybe I need to work on my projections there a little bit, and then the Detroit guys, right? The Detroit wide Tyrell Perryman and Amon-Ra St. Brown. One of those dudes is getting 120 targets. I don't know which one, but one of them right there is doing the Cole Beasley from last year or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely find myself taking Perriman a decent amount. Yeah, I just pulled up my exposures. He's not super late, but again, on the Colts thing, I have 24% Paris Campbell, 24% KJ Hamler. Tevin Coleman is a guy I've been taking in the last round.
See that I can't do. That's a bridge too far for me. Which
he's free. He's literally free and is going to be their starting running back. I don't get it.
This is the most Mike Leone ass opinion ever of like, I don't care that he's old. I don't care that he sucks. He's free. He's going to start, which I know is true. I have no arguments to that point other than that. I just think he's totally dusted.
The funny thing is I've been drafting a lot of Tevin Coleman and Brashad Perriman, and they were the 2 guys from, I forget what year was that. Was that 15 or 16 that just had the insane combines and have kind of constantly
2016, I think.
2016. Yeah. They both just absolutely torched their combines. So yeah, I'm holding out hope for these guys. What would that be? A 5th year breakout? 5th year breakout.
I mean, someone was actually a 5th year breakout. I don't. This is very like I can't remember anything, but there was definitely someone in the last 2 years who like dead ass was a 5th year breakout. I mean, Byron Pringle is about to be the 28-year-old breakout. Like that's what we're hanging our hat on. I shouldn't even have to know the name Cornell Powell.
I know. I was gonna say I've started to mix in some Cornell Powell. Like you said, it has to be one of these guys. Or
Hardman is being hilariously underdrafted.
No, yeah, and I'm including Hardman in that. Yeah, I have him in a 5th of my drafts now. And anytime if I have like Tyreek or Kelsey, and I miss out on CEH, I'm definitely reaching a round or 2 for me, Cole.
To take Mahomes. Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say, so this is a big strategy question I have.
Yeah.
So obviously in 2019, you had to have Lamar to win, right? You just were not winning your individual leagues without Lamar. He scored so many points. And then last year it was kind of Josh Allen, but Allen was a little bit more expensive, right? He was like what, like 7th, 8th round ADP. I do. Doesn't it feel like late round quarterback is kind of dusted? Like it doesn't really. The latest guy I think who offers that upside is Lance. My concern with Lance is he's literally going to throw like 18 times a game. Like he might run and he might be cool, but I do feel like the market is valuing him appropriately. Right when the championship first opened, he was going like in like the 14th, 15th round, and like that was a slam dunk. But like he goes ahead of Tom Brady sometimes now in these.
Yeah, no, it is tough because when you're asking yourself the question, can I win $1 million with these quarterbacks? Like you need one of those guys to finish top 5 on the season, and the number of those guys that, like you said, that can actually realistically do that is tough.
And they're all expensive now.
They are, and I'm kind of surprised. Like I don't find Herbert and Dak Prescott to be that expensive right now in drafts.
Dak is the one you take because he could easily be the number 1 overall quarterback and he goes after Kyler.
Yeah, you're just getting an injury discount on him because of last year. So yeah, I definitely have been prioritizing getting one of those quarterbacks and then taking the stab. I mean, there are some late guys that I like. I really like Tua and I really like Carson Wentz. Cost adjusted, but yeah, I'm not expecting those guys to be top 5 quarterbacks.
Well, Tua feels like the cheat because he clearly has the physical ability to run. I don't know if he will. He was never a huge, like, Lamar-esque style rusher, but like he's fast, he's strong.
Have you been reading some of the quotes from him too about just the stuff about being fully healthy, feeling comfortable with the playbook, all that jazz?
Well, basically he was like, I sucked last year and I think that I can do a lot better, which is like, you never really hear quarterbacks say that stuff. You always hear like, oh, I'm progressing. Oh, I'm going to get better. You never say like, oh, I was disappointed with my play for an entire year.
To me, and I know there's all kinds of variables, there's all kind of context, but to me, Tua is like the ultimate like post-hype slam dunk thing, because if you just look at the stuff on paper and you got rid of his name and the stuff and you're like, former 5th overall pick coming into his 2nd year, the team literally catering every offensive weapon to his skill set, getting Will Fuller in free agency, drafting Jalen Waddle, not investing anymore in the run game, bolstering their offensive line, like everything.
Their depth chart is disgusting, dude. Will Fuller, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Parker, and then they have the gadget guys, Jakeem Grant, Lynn Bowden, and Malcolm Perry. Like they can do whatever they want with those guys in terms of, Jets, like whoever, if they decide they want to get super creative on offense, they can. The offensive line is good. They draft Hunter Long behind Gesicki. I know somewhere Karain is like shouting, Mike Gesicki sucks. But yeah, I mean, he just is, and they have nothing invested at running back, right? Like they're not paying. Gaskin is on a rookie contract. Malcolm Brown was like $1.5 million. Our dude Laird is on the rookie minimum wage scale. They've never given him a raise. Like they're just gonna air the ball out.
Man, I think, and I saw Mike Clay's projections the other day, and he has Waddle and Fuller as the 2 highest projected guys for target share. I mean, which makes sense, but it is showing like he's upgrading. Not only are we now bumping down Parker and Preston, older guys that don't match, necessarily stylistically with Tua's skill set, we're now bringing in better fits that are going to naturally improve the offense. I think he's way too cheap in drafts right now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm with you. Do you have a read on Zach Wilson? Like, because Denzel Mims is very cheap and Corey Davis is very cheap.
Yeah.
And if Zach Wilson is actually better than Fields and Mac Jones, I mean, I don't think he is, but he might be. Like clearly some NFL decision makers thought that. Those dudes are ridiculously cheap.
Yeah, no, and Herndon is cheap too. Like if we just assume like this whole stink of like the Adam Gase era is gone, I think people still associate the Jets with the Adam Gase Jets. And because Zach Wilson wasn't everyone's favorite QB prospect, kind of getting the Josh Allen, Justin Herbert treatment, not saying he's one of those guys, but I think there's just a lot of kind of cognitive biases that are making these guys cheaper than what they should be.
Yeah, I mean, we all agree that like basically the right way to draft wide receivers in fantasy is just to correspond with their NFL draft order. Like no one really are. I mean, maybe other than like Tutu Atwell, who weighs less than I do, but Zach Wilson was a second overall pick, and he goes like 108 in super flex drafts right now. Like there is like some jet stink on him for sure.
Yeah, that's what I like. I mean, I think Wilson's another great one to bring up, and why I like guys like Wentz, Tua, Wilson. I mean, they're so easy to fill in as your second stack. You know, you get your premium stack, and then you can just kind of pick it's like, oh, okay, I grabbed Mims. Okay, I'm going to go the Wilson route. Oh, I grabbed Paris Campbell. I'm going to go the Wentz route. Oh, I grabbed Parker late or Waddle. I'm going to go the Tua route. So it's nice that you don't even have to make that decision until round 8. And then all those guys are going to be there for you.
Yeah. The secondary stack stuff is actually important because you don't really want to spend 2 middle round picks on quarterbacks. Like you don't want to take Dak and Herbert or Kyler and Lamar or whatever. I do really like to take Lamar. This Lamar shit is so stupid. Like Marquise Brown going in the 9th round, Bateman and Watkins are completely free. What are we doing here?
It's so true. I'm in the middle of a Kyler team where I have Kyler and Nuke, and I haven't gotten much Rondell Moore. And so I'm like, all right, this is the team I want to get him on. And I was going to reach like a round and a half. I go to pick and he's gone. And I see Marquise Brown is now going in the 10th round.
It's literally, it's unbelievable. It is really unbelievable.
Yeah, so I happily took Marquise Brown, that cheap there, even though Rondell would look sexier with the stack. But it's like, I don't get it. I think if anything, the bet we're trying to make on the Ravens is that they are going to be a little bit more pass.
They're just going to throw more.
They're going to throw more. And yes, like Bateman can be more of a target hog, and Marquise Brown couldn't have his efficiency boost up. Like we saw what the Marquise Brown in a heavier targeted role looked like. It didn't work out well. But does anyone actually down on Marquise Brown being able to play that stretch X with Bateman and Andrews drawing more attention? Like that seems perfect.
Well, and the thing is, if you go look at Lamar's targets in his career, over half of the passes that Lamar has thrown have gone to Willie Snead, Des Bryant, Miles Boykin, Nick Boyle, and assorted other shitty tight ends. So you're replacing all of those wasted snaps, right?
Yeah.
You're replacing all of them with Bateman and Sammy Watkins. Yeah. Like it feels like and Mark Ingram is just not on the team anymore. So they don't have the slogger there anymore. So it's just like, I don't know. It feels like one of the most obvious, like, buy the dip spots ever. But I posted that tweet the other day, like about the Ravens stack, and maybe like 25% of the responses were like, oh yeah, I'm buying the dip. And then everyone else was like, Marquise Brown sucks. Lamar can't throw. All they're going to do is run. And it's like, it truly is unbelievable to me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I don't know where it is. I think it's because Andrews and
Lamar go in the same round. So it's weird to take. It is hard to take. You got to have the pick on the turn.
Yeah, that's what I've seen. The builds that have done it have been able to pull it off are from like the one hole. And that's where it's super nice because you get Christian McCaffrey, you double tap wide receiver, you get like your Ridley and Keenan, and then you come back and get Andrews and Lamar, which I think is going to be pretty popular.
You used to have to do that last year with the 2-3 turn. You start with McCaffrey and you take Lamar and Mark Andrews at the 2-3. Like that's what you used. I don't know, man. It's just like so much of the edge from fantasy football is gone that the way the main way left to capitalize is just when players do okay, but they miss expectation, but it really was kind of outside of their control. Like that's like, which is one of the most obvious, like the Ravens had to play all these weird games and they missed with COVID and they were winning games like 45-7 at the beginning of the season. Like just very obvious reasons why the numbers weren't there and people are tilting.
And I think that's the biggest shift I've made. Like, I think last year, like I had one of my $5 team in the big $5 contest finish 5th overall. Like I felt like my structural drafting was on point, but I was still like a my guy drafting kind of guy where I was reaching too much. And even though I was building smart, I was like hemorrhaging value. And I'm sure there were tons of teams that had similar players, but at better ADPs. This year, I've become more of like an ADP snob. I'm building similarly structurally. And yet I'm just letting those drafts come to me, scooping those values. Do I like David Johnson? No. Am I going to draft him 30 picks after ADP? Yes. Like, I'm just going to do it.
I've been doing that with both Cooks and David Johnson, where I don't want to take them, and clearly the market doesn't want to take them either, which is why they are so consistently. And these things will get fixed as the ADP continues to refresh and includes newer drafts. But been taking those guys a ton. Been taking very weirdly. Claypool is a guy that falls a lot. Maybe this is just in the DK drafts. But Claypool, and he's kind of a guy I like anyways, but he falls. Keenan Allen sometimes falls, half a round or whatever afterward. And yeah, you just kind of got to hoover up those spots you're picking up nickels basically.
Yeah, I think I'm just, even it's funny to think back because as people know, I became a much better DFS player over the course of last year, starting around quarantine. And early on, like how I was thinking about best ball, like I think about it completely differently now. And I don't have that like hubris of like, these are the breakouts. I have to go get them. I'll reach for the stacks. Like now I look at these pockets of players. I look at every running back from like round 8 to 12. And I'm like, they're all basically the same. Like I'll just match them up with my stacks or teams I'm heavy on and which guys I get deals on. And it's like so much more freeing to not have the hubris of like, I know which one of these guys is going to hit.
That is very freeing. All right. We can wrap it up. We're going to be doing a bunch of shows together this summer and Soulcast and everything. So we will and just as we were getting off air, we just got a text in our group chat from Patrick Laird. So that's a very appropriate way for us to end the show. Pete, thanks for helping me out during my moving week. I was, if you were not available today, I was just going to be like, fuck it, we're not doing a show this week. It's too much. I can't.
Well, how do you know that I was doing good for not checking my phone? Because I didn't reply to your text from like 9 a.m. until about 1. That's how long I went today without it.
It's amazing. And I texted you this week. I'm in like 9 group chats with you. It was very funny. I could tell when you got your phone this morning because like I immediately got a response in all of those group chats from you. Yeah. It was beautiful.
It is. That's we're going inbox 0 with all of these notifications now, just batching them in groups.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I never have okay. Let's end it with this. What's more psychopathic? What I do, which is I never have an unread email. Immediately when I get it, I either star it, mark it for reply later, or delete it. Or the opposite, which is just allowing it to stack endlessly. You have 10,000 unread emails or 30,000 unread emails or whatever.
No, I think what you do makes sense. Like it's still not completely for me, but at least it's a system. I feel like just letting them all pile up, like I get overwhelmed just thinking about it. I don't know how people do it.
But like I remember some things you just stick in your brain for absolutely no reason. I remember John Proctor on Twitter was the one who asked like, oh, how many unread emails do you have? And I told him what I do, which is I either reply, mark for respond later because I have a little app that does that, and then or I just delete it, and I never have an unread email. And he told me that I was a psychopath for doing it that way.
I saw it was getting like circulated by probably one of the like Silicon Valley entrepreneur VC dudes or whatever, but he had like this site called Yesterbox, I think. And the concept is that each morning, like you're just replying to the day before's emails. And it's not like I don't feel like you have to do that specifically, but I think that concept makes a lot of sense where we all feel the responsibility to reply right away. And so you get pulled in and resucked in, and then you get caught in a back and forth and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But I think I like that idea of batch replying to stuff the following day. Like it's an email, like most emails can be responded to, 12 to 24 hours later. So I might start experimenting with that a little bit.
Yeah, I like that. I like that idea. I mean, I like mini organizational ideas, but like, do you have this with organizational apps where they end up tending to be more work than they let on, like when they're advertised to you? Like I've tried a bunch of different ones, and honestly, I just use Google Calendar to keep track of my stuff.
I rely very heavily on, I have like my master to-do list, but then I time block my stuff with Google Calendar. But like I told you at the beginning here today, like my to-do list got too disorganized and overwhelming. And so I just like wrote it all out on paper today, just as like a soft reset on helping me figure out what was important.
Yeah. My girlfriend has been, as we're moving and doing all this stuff, she's been writing out on paper, like, you need to do this today. You need to do this today. And you like think like, oh, that's nagging and annoying. And I'm like, no, that's literally so fucking helpful, because if not, the alternative is you come home, I'm playing video games on the couch and I forgot to do something.
Yeah. We all got to find the systems that work for us.
Yep. All right, Pete, thank you very much. And yeah, guys, we'll be back soon.